Let's talk about heated moments and how you can make sure that you don't hurt your partner, even in an argument, even in a heated moment. We all know it when someone says something that you don't like, or they do something that you don't like, and you just feel this overwhelming emotion, and it makes you say things that you don't mean, or maybe it makes you withdraw and be like, I just don't want to talk to you, I just don't want to have anything to do with you. That's more the person that I used to be. And obviously, those behaviors hurt your relationship, hurt your partner. So let's talk about this today, how you can overcome this and what will be the solution. So let me start with, a lot of successful people don't even know that they need to work on these topics unless you reach a point where you want to commit, where you found someone that you really, really love, you want to be with them, and you just want to commit. And then you love them, you want to be with them, but then they behave in a certain way, they say something that triggers you, and then you just feel unstable, you just feel ungrounded, and it's just overwhelming emotionally. I hear you, and honestly, I was the same too. And by the way, lots of successful people never reach the state of overcoming the hurdle that happens in the first couple of months or even years of a relationship, you know. But let's get to this in a second. So when I was doing my career, my job, my school, this kind of behavior of withdrawing and not talking to certain people just worked out perfectly. You know, I could always change the job. When I had my business, I could find new customers. Even with friends, like I would just find new friends. I wasn't that attached. But when it came to relationships, once I found a partner I wanted to commit to, that I didn't want to break this apart after a couple months because negative feelings came up, triggers came up, I had to really ask myself this question: is there another way? Because when I feel bad, when I feel angry because they said something in a commanding, rude way, or a tone that I didn't like, or they did something I didn't like, I was asking myself, is there another way to not feel bad about the situation and not act out? And yes, there is. There definitely is. And it's called emotional mastery. Okay, emotional mastery helps you to kind of like prevent that you act out when you're triggered. You know, like this trigger trauma response is for everybody different. Some people, like me, just withdraw and don't want to talk anymore. Some people start being active aggressive and say things that they don't mean, or they're passive aggressive, like they don't say anything, but you can feel that anger and that upsetness. Or they are people pleasers, you know, they're like, oh, I'm gonna do anything for you, anything. Or they become daydreamers, they dream about something else, they completely don't see what's happening. I was actually like that when I was a kid. So there are different ways to react to a trigger, and all of these different ways are going to sabotage your relationship. As I mentioned, in a professional field, you can get away with not doing your inner work because there are always like kind of other options. But in a romantic relationship, this is where people start feeling stuck, you know? Because they're like, okay, this person annoys me, but I can't really leave because I love them. I want to be with them. And guess what? You're not stuck. You obviously can leave. But do you really want to keep leaving the person that you love every 3 months to 1.5 years, depending how fast the relationship ends? It's sad. It's sad. You go through a breakup again. You can't really settle with someone, maybe start a family, you can't really build together with someone. You can't fully invest your heart, your money into someone because you think, you know what, it's again gonna just break and I have to start from the beginning, So you can't fully give yourself to someone. And I don't know about you, but I would want to fully love someone and fully receive that love and have that kind of commitment that, yeah, we are here together, growing together, loving each other. But at the same time, I personally value highly freedom, highly feeling free. So being stuck with something that's just unpleasant, nightmare. It's like a nightmare for me. And maybe you can relate. So I was really asking myself, is there another way? Is there another way to kind of like not react so much to people? Is there another way? And guess what? There is. And that is called emotional mastery and nervous system work. And I'm telling you, once I could master my emotions, where I didn't go into freeze or flight or fight, my life just becomes so much better. I become 10 times more successful in all life areas, also in career. Although we can get away with not working on ourselves, but I promise you're gonna get so much more successful because you suddenly can handle clients who would really make you angry. Like, I also realized that clients who they just made me so angry 1 or 2 years ago, now it's like, you know what, I'm so chill. I'm not talking about taking disrespectful behavior. It's not about that. Okay, we're not taking disrespectful behavior, we're not taking abusive, toxic behavior, but oftentimes we react strongly to things that aren't that of a big deal if you logically think about it. So when I started doing this emotional mastery work, everything shifted. I became more successful because I could hold more clients. I could hold clients with different personality types where I wasn't bothered anymore. Family members that I couldn't even look in the eye because I would just like get so triggered. I was like, okay, let's not talk, let's never even see each other. Suddenly I can just chill next to them and have a conversation and be unbothered. Yes, that's the word, being unbothered. I become unbothered. And that is really so freeing. And for me, the reason I started working on myself were relationships, because that was kind of the only place where I didn't want to just walk away. Because I felt like I would lose too much and I'll have to start from the beginning and then I would lose again. I didn't mind so much. Like, it wasn't that hurtful or heavy for me in other life areas. I would just like find another job, find clients that I enjoyed working with. But relationships were for me the reason to be like, okay, let's look inside. Why am I reacting emotionally? Is this normal or is this fixable? Can I fix this inside of me? Okay, and I have a process that's worth literally at least $30,000 how to emotionally master yourself. Okay, and you can use it as a woman, as a man as well. So I will put the link in the description box, and that process I've put in my course, Activate Your Secret Weapon. Okay, so it's about emotional mastery, about being activated, but not in a sense that you hurt others, in a sense that you feel good and other people, you just become unbothered. They do what they wanna do. And let me tell you a secret. When you become unbothered, when you become stable, when you don't get triggered, you don't react, is just crazy, because people around you, you would expect that they would behave even worse. No, they start behaving suddenly very stable, very kind, very normal. And that's the irony of all of this, you know? We think when we withdraw, the person will be nicer to us, or we think when we say, like, stop doing that, you are annoying, or the way you speak to me is disrespectful, stop it. We think this is when people change. But that couldn't be further from the truth, and you know it. You know that people usually don't change unless they're like really scared of you. Maybe then they will change, but they wouldn't change because you act from this trigger trauma response, this dysregulated nervous system, and it dysregulates them even further. So now you're both dysregulated, like two wavy flags that are unstable. But when you can stabilize within, you have a process. So this process isn't just some kind of meditations that will regulate your nervous system, although I love meditations. It's literally tools, step-by-step tools, how you can navigate in those heated moments, honestly, in all life areas. Okay? So once I implemented those tools and I become stable, I become unbothered, people around me start behaving so good. That's just so crazy. And I'm like smiling a little bit sassy because I realize when I'm especially that stable and unbothered, not because I numb it, but because I have that process and I trained my nervous system to just relax. But I noticed that if someone does something that is crazy, maybe they're dysregulated themselves, or I don't know, they're just doing something. And when I stay stable, you know, like I stay cool, I'm like, maybe not smiling, maybe even serious, just looking in the eye, being like, they become red. Like they become red in their face and be like, sorry. But imagine someone said something to me like, oh, your shirt looks ugly today. And I started like saying, how dare you, rude, blah blah blah, how dare you say that? You can imagine what they answer. They would not answer, oh sorry. They would be like, yeah, it's really ugly. Like they would like even start poking me more. Yeah, so when I learned being detached, being stable, everybody around me becomes stable, and people who were just behaving weirdly, they start feeling ashamed of their behavior because my energy shifted. My energy wasn't anymore reacting to triggers, to heated moments, but being like, unbothered. Okay, this is what you want to tell me? And no, unbothered doesn't mean that I let it slide. If someone says something disrespectful, obviously I'm gonna set boundaries, I'm gonna look serious, but it also means that your nervous system is relaxed and you can take care of more. And guess what? This is one of the very, very, very important points. If you want to scale into being a millionaire, if you want to scale from earning 100K to a million or multiple millions, if you want to really go into overflow, you've got to have that emotional mastery skill. Like in the field of founders, you know, I'm around these people a lot. There's always this saying, the top 1% people aren't necessarily smarter, faster, more lucky or talented. Guess what they have? Emotional mastery, which means when life throws bad things at them, when they get thrown at the floor, they're not reacting, they're not sabotaging out of anger the business, they're not sabotaging relationships with co-founders, they're not sabotaging relationships with investors, with clients. They're just grounded. That's why I'm saying, if you don't do your inner work, you find yourself being reactive. You can get away with that to a certain degree, but once you really go inwards and instead of reacting, you pause, you take a deep breath. That's just one little exercise that's usually common known. And you do all of the how-to steps in my course, Activate Your Secret Weapon. This is when all of your life areas skyrocket because you become stable. You're no longer the person that is shaken by anything. And guess what? Then intimate relationships get really easy because people will do whatever they do, they will say whatever they say, you become unbothered. Again, I'm not saying you take bad behavior. If someone behaves badly, you get to set a boundary, you get to talk to them, you get to walk away in worst case if it's like a very bad thing. But you're no longer constantly distracted by little things that make you angry, that piss you off. So a lot of you right now watching, you might feel like, I don't even know if I want to work on that. Like, I think it's okay if I get angry. I think it's okay if I cut people off. I hear you. So I was there too, where I felt like, my behavior is justified because they made me feel this way. But once you decide to become unbothered, this is when the true freedom comes into your life. This is like the number one freedom, honestly, even above financial freedom. Because life can be just so beautiful, so happy. You're just unbothered. Whatever happens, you don't need to like overeat. You don't need to watch Netflix. You don't need to work to distract yourself. You're just unbothered and chill. Oh, honestly, this is the best thing that I learned and implemented in my life. So the course for that is called Activate Your Secret Weapon. Okay, I'll put the link in the description box. Also, it's in my course overview link. And if you desire one-on-one support, you want me to walk you through all of these steps, and you want me to help you implement step by step, you can also reach out for a free love audit call. I'll put the link in the description box or in my bio. You can also send me an email. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and just remember that you being unbothered actually is one of the necessary requirements for having a healthy, loving relationship. Because whenever time your partner says or does something, you feel triggered, you feel angry, you feel sad, you want to run away, guess what? It really takes away from intimacy, from acceptance, from love. So, and once you learn those skills, you're also going to attract a different type of woman and man in your life. You say you don't want drama, then you yourself need to be unbothered. Because a person that is emotionally regulated will not want to hang out with you if you are not emotionally regulated. And I'm not talking about screaming. If you are always hiding, wanting to walk away from situations when you get triggered like me in the past, that's also not emotionally regulated. That's emotionally avoidant. So everything will change when you actually can stabilize your emotions and you no longer feel like acting out, but you just relax. You're like, I'm emotionally regulated, and this will make you attract higher quality people, higher quality partners. You will be able to hold more in life. You will be able to build bigger careers, bigger businesses, you name it. So thank you so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up. If you ever felt like noticing that you have a pattern, that when you're triggered, when something comes up for you, you act out in a way of, maybe you say something you don't mean, or you have like this tense energy, or you walk away from a situation and hide and just withdraw your attention and love. All of these are patterns to be aware of, and I just want you to know that there's another way. You literally get to be unbothered when you apply the system that I'm giving you in the course Activate Your Secret Weapon. So give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, send it to anyone that might be very reactive. All right, And I see you in the next video.